Sir, they're about to go nuclear. How long do we have?
Mayday. Mayday. This is Eva Vish.
Mayday. Mayday.
We have. Wait. How 2 weeks away are they? Even more 2 weeks away than they were 5 years ago. My God! That's dangerous levels of 2 weeks away. I know. They're 2 weeks away. Son, if anything happens to me, continue my work. We're only 2 weeks away. I will continue, inshallah. Now I'll go to where no one can find me. My office on the 3rd floor, right by that really big window. Vengeance! Sir, if we attack, they will close the Strait of Hormuz. They don't have the balls to close the Strait of Hormuz. They just closed the Strait of Hormuz. And oil is now over $100 a barrel. Please keep me out of this. No one likes this war. And I want to be president one day. Come on! Send a boat or something.
You're the most powerful military in the world. You send your own boats.
That was a test! Ha! You fell right into my trap! Sometimes the best reason for war is no reason at all.
Every civilization has a moment when everything changes. And history shows they never see it coming. What if this isn't random? What if it's a pattern, a cycle repeating itself across time? Empires rise, empires fall, always the same way. Warnings appear, they're ignored, and then everything collapses. But this time, the pattern points to a date, April 12th. Not a prediction, a convergence. Economic pressure, global instability, shifting power, all happening at once. The question isn't if something is coming. The question is, what happens on April 12th? Because every civilization thought they had more time. They didn't, and neither do we.
It started with silence, like heaven took a breath. Then the thunder rolled heavy, and the sky split wide. What we thought would never happen The children woke in silence, like something shook their name. Their eyes were wide with wonder, but they felt no fear, no shame. The rulers raged and crumbled, still shouting as they fell. But evil had no refuge, not in earth or man or hell. And we remained. He called us by name. The earth exhaled and nothing was the same. One day was all he needed. One breath and the storm was still. He broke the chains with silence, and the air itself was filled. The fire fell without burning, and every soul knew his name. Yes, we'll never forget when the day came.
What if the warnings were never meant to be hidden, but encoded? What if the message was always there, not in plain sight, but buried in patterns, names, and dates repeating across time? There is a command, written deep within Scripture. Warn my people, a directive that cannot be ignored. So the warnings come, but not as clarity, as distortion. Figures emerge, voices that seem to carry truth, names that feel intentional, like Jonathan Kahn, or, when reversed, Kajan, or Bo Polony, sounds like a bunch of baloney. Is it all a signal or a coincidence? Because if someone knew the entire script, they wouldn't reveal it plainly. They would fragment it, scatter it across events, across calendars, across history itself. And over time, those fragments would begin to align. September 26th, 2024, a hurricane strikes Florida. Then, again, a second storm, echoing the same date, October 26th, 2024, a prediction made in advance. Israel strikes Iran, March 31st. The markets surge, exactly as forecasted. Coincidence or choreography? April 12th, a Sunday, not just any Sunday, but Orthodox Easter, a day of resurrection, a day of crossing over. And now, another layer emerges. On that same date, the Islamic calendar aligns to month 10, day 23, a precise mirror of October 23rd, matching Donnie Darko, even down to the day of the week. The pattern tightens, numbers begin to echo. 7, again and again. September, derived from 7. Nisan, also tied to 7. On the Torah calendar, April 13th
becomes September 24th.
mirroring earlier warnings. Drake, September 24th. Nothing will be the same. Even the smallest symbols, numbers embedded in everyday life, reflect the same sequence. A number, some associate with the divine. The deeper you look, the more it connects. On Hebrew calendar, April 12th is day 25, and this is why you have Christmas in July. They said nothing would be the same. They said it before, and history shows. When warnings repeat, something follows. October 7th, a date tied to cycles, to Simchat Torah, the completion of one reading, and the immediate beginning of another, an ending that becomes a reset, and when mapped across calendars, that same moment points back to one date, April 12th. After March 18th, there is only one point left to focus on. 2, 1, 4, reversed, rearranged, reinterpreted, ancient festivals, forgotten rituals, even fiction, like Terminator 2, Judgment Day, hinting at a moment Humanity cannot escape. Skynet goes live at 214. A system, a shift, an irreversible threshold. And as the patterns converge, the question is no longer whether they exist. The question is, were they placed there for you to see or for you to follow? And the ultimate question is, how the holy hell did the rapture retards not see any of this? The only answer is, they are either shills or so high on the autistic spectrum, a level to an unimaginable degree.
Now more Bo Baloney, giving you the final script about April 12th.
Warn my people.
He is in the middle of everything. So let this sink in. If you Googled his name, Yahweh or Lord, I'm going to pop this up here, but if you can see, you can zoom in on this. That right there, if you can see that right there, that's his name, Lord. In Hebrew, it looks, the letters look like a 7,
wow,
a 1, and a 7. Okay, so his name is 717. What does that mean? Okay, so Pastor Ren was on stage a few minutes ago saying, he doesn't understand. Example, I'm going to explain the 421 since I got time here. No, but it's good because I like that you brought up a few points so we can address some of these points. So the 421, now if you take a 7 and you break it down, it's time. Okay, so God spoke, let there be, and there was. And then when there was, it was 4,000 years. And because of the screw-ups with Adam and Eve and everything else, we went 4,000 years. And then Jesus had to show up to fix what Adam messed up. Right. Okay? So Jesus becomes the final Adam. So when does he show up? At the end of 4,000 years. Okay? The Bible tells us a year is but 1,000 days. So this is very important to understand because zeros are, from a biblical perspective, not important. That's what I do know. And so if you remove all the zeros, you're left with a 7. Well, what's the name of the Lord? 7, right? So if you remove the zeros from the 4, you're left with a 4. But then from Christ to his return, you got another 2,000 years. Got to drop the zeros. Now you're at a 2. And then we know the millennial reign is a 1. Okay, so that's 1,000. So 4, 2, 1. Remove all the zeros, 4, 2, 1. So you're literally understanding the number 7 when Daniel speaks of 7. He literally is describing 7,000 years on the big picture of things. And then microscopically, because it's God, you can keep condensing it down to 7 weeks, 7 days. That's why a week will have 7 days. But understand the reason it's 7 days is because there's 7,000 years. See, so from a macro perspective to a micro perspective, that's how it works. It's that simple. Then furthermore, if you break the 7, you got 4, 2, and a 1. Well, what did Kim Clement prophecy say? God has anointed me to have this memory. So, specific words were like this. You have been besieged, America. You have been besieged by haters of America for 7 years. I shall take you out of your besiegement. That's right. Quote unquote. Exact words. Okay, so we've been besieged by haters of America for 7 years. If you count backwards 7 years, that's when all this stuff started. Okay? But you also have to add, what was his name? 7, 1, 7. Okay? So his name defines what's going on in our world. Everything else is just noise. All the politics are nothing but noise because everything is going to fall into this pattern I'm giving you. Okay? So we've got 7 years, and then the 1 started when? On 4-2-1, death of the Pope. So a 4-2-1 pattern is a death pattern. So it's a dying pattern because we want to go into life. life more abundantly, okay? But life starts on the next 7 after the 1. And so when you understand Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. Understand that, so you go 7 times 7 is 49. How do you get to 50? Add 1. There's your Leviticus, okay? So if you've got 7 times 7, so everything that's happened in life, I'm giving you 7 years, but you can multiply going back 49 years, and you'll see a lot of stuff's happened in all these 49 years to get to. So the 49 years, this cycle, Leviticus, ended on the death of the Pope and Klaus Schwab resigning. April 21, 2025. And that was called the Great Shaking. So you can go back thousands of years to a point in time, which was April 21, 2025. It's that simple. Are you with me? So now from April 21, you have to go how much forward? What time? A 1, so it was 7 years. You got to go how far? 1 year. Got it? So if you go 1 year forward, now we're doing the Jubilee to take us into the next huge cycle of time, and it starts with a 7 because it's the name of God. So literally everything that God designed was for us in a finale into a 7, 1, 7, and then a new begins. Okay? But for the new to begin, it's not going to go 4, 2, 1 because that was the death cycle. So you got to flip it. All right. So if you flip it, remember the flipping of the scales, the hand writing on the wall? God's all about flipping it. Because when you flip it, God shows up. Everything you see in the natural flips in 24 hours, becomes the opposite. So if we flip the scales, we can't go 4, 2, 1 again. You got to go 1, 2, 4. And you showed me this on the stock market cycles, how it actually works like that. You can predict market movements literally by flipping the cycle, and then you go forwards. And it was incredible. I'm like, I don't trade the markets, but I'm like, wow, this is pretty fun to watch. I can predict stuff in the future, and you really can. So when you flip the cycle, you go forward. Now you're going to go 1, 2, 4. Yeah. So you got to go forwards 1, 2, 4. But let me ask a question. We haven't finished with 1 yet. We haven't finished with when does Jubilee end? Well, if it ended in April of last year, you go a whole year. When does a Jubilee end? April of 2026, this year. But this is the crazy part, which freaked me out just like 2 days ago. So if 421 to see, because if the cycle ended on a 421, April 21, if it ended on a 421, when is it supposed to start? It should start on at least a 421, but it can't start on a 421 because that's a death cycle. So it's got to start on the life cycle, which is what? 1, 2, 4. Okay? So it's got to start on 1, 2, 4. But if it's flipped, it was 4, 2, 1, that month and day. So let's flip it. Since it's flipped, you got to go day to month. Right? So you go 12, 4. 12th day of April. I'm like, wow. But if that be the case, it's got to be biblical. Like it has to be the greatest moment in history for God to move and do something to change the course of history. Because when you read scriptures and you look back, like the angel of death moment, okay, it happened at Passover. The 185,000 Assyrian soldiers, Passover. So there's moments in time where God intervenes and changes the course of history. And historically, it's always been at Passover because why? It literally is a moment of time. It's the new year. And so you were talking earlier about the cleansing of the temple, right, Pastor Ren? So the new year started on the 19th of March. If you read everything's biblically, scripturally perfect. And so March 19th was Nisan 1. And then if you read 2 Chronicles, he told me clearly, 2 Chronicles 29, this is the cleansing of the temple. We're the temple. We can't have the glory in, what did you say, Pastor Ren? We can't have the glory upon us until we're cleansed. Right? Okay, I didn't know this stuff. Like, I'm not a biblical scholar. I was a doctor for years, okay? I'm learning as we go. I just memorize things really quick. And so my point is that I'm learning as we go. I'm like, wait a second. So the temple's got to be cleansed before the glory comes upon us. How long is the cleansing? Well, 2 Chronicles 29 tells us it's 16 days. We're in it right now. It actually ends this coming 2nd of April. We get into April, and then 3 days after that is resurrection, and the 2nd is right where Christ is crucified, and then 3 days later, resurrection. And 2 Chronicles 29, you know what it finishes with on the last day? Blood sacrifice. Read it. It's perfect. So you get the blood sacrifice, something's probably going to happen, okay, and then the greatest victory in human history, which is on Resurrection Sunday, April 5. But that's not 1, 2, 4, is it? Get what I'm saying? So there's a problem, because if we're supposed to see a resurrection, a birth, a greatest time point in history, it should happen on Passover, specifically should happen on Resurrection Sunday. But that's the 5th. This is the crazy part. The 5th of what? The 5th of April on the Gregorian calendar, which is a fraud. They created that calendar 444 years ago. So it's basically 14 days off, but this year something weird happens to the calendar. What happens is, for whatever reason, this April 12th is Resurrection Sunday on the Julian calendar. So, however the math is worked out, 7 days later is Resurrection Sunday on the true calendar. Why is it the true calendar? Because it's 2072 years old. So when Christ was on the earth, that calendar was used. When he was crucified, it was on, you saw the video yesterday, the slides, it was April 3rd, 333, on the Julian calendar. There was no Gregorian calendar. That one's 444 years old. So the Julian calendar had the death point for Jesus, and then 3 days later would have been resurrection. Point being is, that's this Friday. Okay, so what I'm saying is we're going to depart the fake fraudulent, because Babylon is nothing but a fake and a fraud. Everything about Babylon, fake fraud. Fake money, fake calendars, fake news, fake media, fake Hollywood. Like, it's just the 7 mountains. Fake, 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 fake. Everything's fake. It's all an illusion. That's why we need the great awakening to wake up from the fake. Babylon was a fake. Everything they did was to fake you out, to make you think, because it's not about the reality, it's what you believe is reality. That's all. Like everything in business, it's not about the business, it's what you believe the business is doing, right? And so it's all about with the belief. And the devil's really good at what he does. He's an angel. He's not stupid, okay? He's super smart at what he does, and he's been around for thousands of years. He doesn't know what you're thinking, but he knows how you think and what you'll likely do next, because he's been studying humanity for a long time. So they've been watching us for a long time. They're the watchers. And they've been watching you. And so these are demonic entities, and there are no aliens. This is all, everything alien is literally, they're like extraterrestrials. They're going to use this junk in the future. Just again, another lie, because it's very simple. The only thing the devil wants you to know is there's no devil.
Thank you, sir.
Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh.